Now, a curfew has been reimposed in Indian-administered Kashmir after police shot and killed a 12-year-old boy with a pellet gun during a protest in the Saidpora area. Indian-administered Kashmir has witnessed one of its worst periods of unrest since early July after a separatist group's commander was killed by Indian security forces. Parvaiz Bukhari has more from Srinagar.
These protests against Indian rule have been going on for more than 3 months now. And yesterday, on Friday, after the protests erupted in the old part of Srinagar city, the government forces again fired the pellet guns, which are metal shards that are fired from very close range to towards the protesters. And despite the fact that the government of India had promised that these weapons, which are described as non-lethal, would be phased out and not used against the protesters, they've continued to be used, and the protests have continued. And the latest victim, as you know, is a 12-year-old boy, Junaid Ahmed. And if you see the 91 people who've been killed in the last 2-3 months of the unrest and protests, have been mostly young school children and college boys, and the protests are still ongoing, and the anger that people have against Indian rule and the way the government forces have dealt with the political protests in this place is still not abating, and that's precisely what happened yesterday and what happened today too, after the government forces again fired not just tear gas shells but also pellets and stuff onto the funeral of this young boy. In fact, some of the tear gas shells landed on the body when it was being carried for burial into the local, what is it described as the martyrs' graveyard. So the situation stands as tense as it has been in the last 3 months, and protests against Indian rule are continuing, and they are met with the same force still, even after 3 months of what's been happening.